Hey, what's up, guys? If you're unable to sell and market your painting service, you're not going to have a business. So that should be one of the top priorities for you when growing and managing a painting company. Now, I know from personal experience that using software or a CRM to help organize and orchestrate your sales process can be tremendous and empower you in ways that you never thought possible. At least it did for me. Now, what I'm trying to say is rather than keeping it in your head or making a bunch of paper notes and writing it into your calendar or something like that where all your leads are and who you need to call and follow up with and all that sort of stuff, you want to use a program that's going to keep all that organized for you. Even if you're super small and get one lead a week, all the way to the point where eventually you'll probably hire an office administrator. You need something to organize all that because it'll make you way more efficient. It'll give you the ability to run reports and see where you can improve things on your business and help you make really crucial marketing decisions on like what direction you should go. And it's also just way easier than trying to do it any other way that I've learned about or know about. Personally, for my company, I've been super fortunate and lucky to run a painting company for over 10 years, grow it. I do use a CRM, it's called Salesforce, but it's pretty expensive and it's really difficult to customize for a painting company, and it's kind of way overkill for what a painting company needs. So what I did was I created a CRM that is specifically designed and made for a painting company. So you don't have to do any customizing, and really over the last 10 years I've slowly learned like, oh yeah, it would be better if I were to keep my data this way, or that's something that I need to track, and I take all that information and knowledge and put it in one spot for you so you don't have to waste any time with that. You can just track your data in what my opinion is the best way possible to help you with sales and marketing. So let me just show you what I'm talking about to make the point like here's exactly how and why it's going to help you and why I definitely would recommend and think that you need it. And even if you don't use mine, I would just strongly urge you to use some kind of CRM. All right, so the very first time you log in, your app's going to look like this, completely blank because you haven't entered any leads or anything. But let me show you what it'll look like after you start using it for a little bit. It's going to look like this and have a bunch of records in there from things that you've entered. Now, the key to a CRM and making sure that this actually helps you and works is that you've got to make a habit of using it. And I know from personal experience, I used to do everything on paper and it was really hard to go completely digital. You know, psychologists say it takes about 45 days to create habits and really get that neurological network in your brain. So just do yourself a favor, commit, say, hey, I'm going to do this for 45 days. After that, if I don't love it and it hasn't made everything easier, I'll go back to the old way. But I'm telling you, at least for me, it really will just make things so much easier and better, which I'm going to explain in this video, you know, how it does that. But just do your best to start using this. And one of the best secrets or easy ways to do it, you know, I'm going to use my phone because that's one of the most common ways, especially if you're out in the field or you don't have an office administrator that you're going to be interacting with it. You get a phone call, throw in your AirPods or Bluetooth headset, or just throw your phone on speaker. And what's nice is this is just going to walk you through the conversation. So you're just going to press this plus button in the bottom right. You get a phone call and it's a lead. Hey, I'm so-and-so and I need some painting. Okay, great. Let me just grab some basic information from you real quick. What's your name? What's your address? What's your phone number? What's your email address? And you can see you don't have to enter these. The only thing you need is the name noted by that asterisk. But if you can get all this, it's best, and it just helps lead the conversation. Sometimes they're hesitant to give the email. I'll just throw in, you know, so I can send you a quote. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Get the email real quick. Sales rep, you know, if you happen to have sales reps, you're going to pick which sales rep it is. If you're a one-man show and just getting started, you're the sales rep. Just put you. So you can press new if you get a new sales rep, but you'll have some options that are previously there. You'll just say, we're Bob Smith. Now the job type, you know, they call, so what kind of painting did you need? Oh, I wanted to get the outside of my house painted. You know, that would be exterior residential. Maybe they say, well, I don't need both interior and exterior. You could just click residential, whatever is the most appropriate one. Lead source, and then, hey, lead name, how did you hear about us? And maybe they say something like website, you can click there. Maybe they say, actually, you were a referral from somebody. Click client referral, and you'll notice when I click client referral, a new box pops up underneath. See how it says person who generated lead? See, if I change this back to something like website, you'll see that disappears. So it helps you track the data that's necessary and lead the conversation. Click client referral. Oh, and great, who referred us? And then they'll say, oh, it was, you know, this person's name. You'll enter in whoever referred you, and that can be helpful. Maybe your company gives gift cards to clients that refer you. Maybe you do canvassing, door-to-door canvassing, and you need to put in who is the name of the marketer that generated this lead. Because maybe you have incentivized-based pay for your door-to-door canvassers. That's why that is there. But let's just make this easy and say that it was a website lead. See, the next thing we have there is lead status. So hopefully, ideally, we're trying to turn this into an estimate. But maybe they mentioned it's really urgent, I need to get this done next week because we're having tenants move in or whatever the reason is. And then you realize, well, actually, I'm sorry, we're booked out a month. So we wouldn't be able to do that. And it's like, oh, really? Well, never mind then. I need it next week. So then you would say scheduling conflict. You could put in the notes of what happened and why, and then press save. There's going to be a lot of reasons sometimes. Maybe they're outside the service area. Maybe they need a service that you don't offer. Whatever the case may be, sometimes you don't set the estimate, but hopefully it turns into set up an in-person estimate. That's the goal. Now, sometimes you'll see the one above it is need to send a digital estimate. That's a scenario where they're like, hey, I actually don't even live in the state. I just have a rental property there, and I need to get the exterior painted. So you're going to be doing it all via digital, like through email and whatnot. But ideally, you definitely want to get to set up an in-person estimate if possible. Now, let's say that this was a lead that you got through a contact form on your email, or somebody texted you the lead, and you call them and they don't answer. That's what this stuff up here is for. When it's brand new, it'll just be new lead, haven't called yet. Maybe you don't have time to call the lead, but you entered it. And then you can say called but have not made contact. So you called them, nobody answered. You can put in the notes, left a voicemail, whatever the case is. Maybe you do contact them. Maybe they say something like, hey, you know what? I'm actually getting a deck installed and I'm not sure how long that's going to take. Can you give me a call back in about a month? Whatever the case may be. When you select made contact but need to call again, you'll notice this call lead back date comes up, and then you're just going to put whatever date they asked you to call back. That way you remember, you can put in the notes, what the situation was, and it's just going to make you seem like you're super organized when you do call them back in a month. So whatever the case is, you're going to save that contact, and hopefully, like I said, it's set up an in-person estimate. Now, I'll show you how we do it. We love to use the Google Calendar. You're on the phone with them, and you're setting it up for a sales guy, or even if it's for yourself, you can pull up your calendar and let them know, I got a 2 o'clock and a 12 o'clock available tomorrow. Maybe they can't find any times. Let's go to the next week. I have a lot more spots next week, and find a time that works and then enter them into the Google Calendar. That's personally how we like to do it, and our favorite calendar to keep track of this stuff. But regardless, you're going to set up the estimate and press save. And then a day or two goes by, and then you or a sales rep or whoever is actually going to do the estimate. Now, when you do the estimate, you want to tell your CRM what happened. And that's how you're going to know how many estimates happened during this time frame. It's where you're going to track all your stuff. So you can just go to that search bar and find the name of whoever you're giving an estimate to. I'm just going to type John. You can see there's a bunch of Johns in there. We'll just pick this guy. But now we're going to say the estimate is done and sent, which means that you did it and you handed it to them or you emailed it to them. And now you'll see new information pops up. This is telling the CRM that this is now an estimate. It went from a lead to an estimate. Now we want to put in information about the estimate that's going to be useful. So you're going to put what day did it happen. Usually, if you're doing it live, same day, you're just going to pick today. But maybe you're entering it at the end of the week because you were too busy. Go back, put the right date. Put the amount that the estimate was for. We'll put $56.70. Now, estimate stage, this is super important for helping you understand your business and where you can work on things to improve. Even the best business owner ever is still always going to be trying to improve their business. So you can see we have a bunch of different options here. After you give them an estimate, pro tip, always ask for the job while you're there at the estimate. It's as simple as just saying, hey, what do you think? Would you like to do it? And they're going to say yes, they're going to say no, or they're going to say maybe. And you're just going to put what they said. So if they say yes, it could be booked on the spot. If they say no, maybe they say, your price was just too high. You can put price. And then you're going to get common objections like, oh, I'd like to talk about it with my husband or wife. You can click there. Maybe they say, I want to think about it. You'll put think about it. Maybe they say they want to get other estimates. You can put other estimates. Now, if they say maybe, you'll notice that we get this follow up with estimate date because you're going to want to follow up with them. If we put price, which is a no, that goes away. But the maybes, like think about it, there's going to be a follow-up date. And that's where you're going to put when is a reasonable time, what time should you follow up with them. Another pro tip, if they give you a maybe, ask them when they can let you know. So, oh, cool, I understand that. Is it okay if I follow up with you tomorrow to get an answer? Or whatever the case may be, you're going to put the date that you're supposed to follow up with them there. Then you can put any notes. And then we like to do everything on the Google Drive. You can check out my contracts and spreadsheets and my other videos. But we like to link the folder of the Google Drive right here. So then I can pull up pictures, measurements, contracts. Even if the job's done and we did it, we can look at like invoices at the paint store, all that kind of stuff. It's all going to be conveniently linked right there. That's what this is for. We can look at Justin's callbacks. We would actually say get link, and we would take this link, copy it, and then paste it in there and press save. And that's how you're going to enter information and use this to keep track of everything. Rather than putting it on paper or using a file box and put all your callbacks here and that sort of thing, just use this and go completely digital. I know, like I said, it's really hard to do it, but once you do it, you can't go back because it is so convenient. Now, the reason you want to use this as your management system for storing all of your leads and estimates is it's going to allow you to leverage the power of technology to help marketing and sales. So under your call lists here, you're going to see a lead call list and an estimate callback list. Now, these lists have the leads in order that you need to be calling. You can just press the call button if you're on your phone, start calling them. You can also text or email. Same thing with the estimate callback list. They're going to put your estimates that you need to call back in order. And the idea is you want to make a call and make any changes necessary to this. So maybe the follow-up date changes because they say, hey, give me a call in 2 weeks. As soon as you change that to 2 weeks later, it's going to get removed from that list. And then it won't pop back up onto the list until 2 weeks has passed. So it just keeps everything nicely organized and neat for you. You don't have to think. You can just go to the call list and make calls to whoever's in that list because they need a call. Now on your dashboard, it's going to show a bunch of different important metrics. And these are the ones, in my opinion, that are super important that you should always be looking at. But then you can also use the reports table to rearrange and organize and analyze your data in more ways than I can even think of. But let's look at this dashboard. You can see there's 6 tiles here. And to enter a tile, you just click on the top. So if we enter the company statistics here, you can see super important numbers. A while back, I made a video that said how to hit your painting goals. Goal being monetary money, like how much money you want to make. And I said you need to know 4 numbers in order to make a plan to hit your goals. 3 of those numbers are right here. We got your conversion rate, which just says what percentage of leads turn into estimates, your closing rate, which says what percentage of estimates turn into jobs, and then your average job size, which just shows on average how much is one job worth in terms of revenue. And then of course you can see there too, it shows the revenue that is booked, and all these numbers are shown for any given time frame. So you can see we have a start and an end date. If we press the edit button, we can change the start date and we can change the end date. So you could look at, year by year, week by week, payroll by payroll, or month by month. And when you change those start and end dates and press save, you'll see it'll want to sync to compute. That just means hit the refresh button at the top right where that one icon was. It will make the adjustments based on those dates. Now all the data in your dashboard is going to be a reflection of those dates. So you can see during the month of May, we had a 45% conversion rate, 44% booking rate, booked 134,000, and that's the job size for the sample data here. Now let's look at these other tiles. Again, it's showing you really important information that you should be looking at. So your lead status breakdown, that's going to give you an overview of what is happening to the leads that you get. And if you just put your finger on them, it'll show you what's there. So we can see 10% of our leads need a service that we don't offer based on this sample data. And 46% are estimates that are done and sent, and so on. So if you're trying to do more estimates, the easiest way is just convert more. So maybe you notice that something is off here. Maybe a big percentage is just haven't been able to get a hold of, in which case, it's a simple fix. Just make more phone calls, maybe hire someone to make phone calls. I can see here on the sample data that it needs a service we don't offer. Maybe look into those leads. If you click on them, you can actually see the leads and you can go to the notes and see, oh man, most of them want cabinets, or, maybe you just do exterior and it's like, man, if I just did interior, I could get a lot more estimates. Maybe that's something I should consider if I'm trying to grow my company. Now, estimate stage breakdown, this is going to show your booking rates. And it's going to show you if you don't book the job, what happens. So we can see here we've got 20% for booked on the callback, 20% for booked on the spot. So it's a 40% booking rate, which is great. And we can see this pink here, 20% is think about it. So if you're going to work on sales, you know, you need to learn and work on that objection, think about it. Which if that's the case, that's a good thing, because think about it is one of the easiest ones. You know, I've got charts and stuff and go on for days about sales and how, you know, we're not trying to turn that to zero, but you could easily maybe get 5% less, think about it, and hopefully that 5% shifts over into booked. All right, the next one here is just a lead source breakdown. It's just interesting to see where are you getting your leads. And then you can go down to the next one that gives you a revenue breakdown based on lead source. So you can see if they correlate. So what's interesting with the sample data here, we can see client referral looks like 7%, but it makes up close to 20% of the revenue. So you might find little interesting things in there. Maybe you realize I get a ton of leads from some service, but you don't really book anything from it. And then your revenue breakdown over time, it's just going to show you based on the dates that you put in there when you're booking the revenue, which can be helpful. Like if you look at the entire year, you can see how seasonal is my company, when does it pick up, when does it slow down, that sort of thing. Now this is just a bird's eye view of very important metrics of your business that can help you with marketing and sales. But the real magic of this, the real power in this is going to be the reports. So let me jump over to that and show you what I mean and just how powerful it can be and how it can really help you make marketing and sales decisions. All right, so one thing right off the bat, it can be done on a phone, but I only recommend using this on the computer. It's just a lot easier to navigate and use. Also, I'll have other videos that really go into depth of how to use this. This is just a quick start guide, but you can see we have 3 tabs on the bottoms: leads, estimates, and jobs. So depending on what you're evaluating and researching, you know, if you want to know about your estimates, go to this tab, jobs this tab, and leads this tab. So there's just so many different things that'll pop into your head that you'll realize, man, I would like to know that, and that would help me make a sales or marketing decision. Or if you're trying to improve your business, looking up certain things and analyzing this data makes it super easy. So one common thing is, you know, you spend money on marketing and you want to know, am I getting a good ROI, a return on investment? And if I spend $1,000 on this marketing, how much revenue does that generate? And you could easily figure out, well, how many leads, how many estimates, and how many jobs do I get from whatever lead source you're trying to look at. So if we just drop lead source in here, this will show all the different places you've received leads. If we drop lead source under value, it'll show you how many leads we received from each one of these. So you can see we've gotten about 2,000 leads in total, and we'll just pick a random one, Facebook. This one's 39. We'll just pretend that this is some marketing gimmick thing that's like, hey, pay me, I'll get you leads. You paid them, and you can see, wow, I got 39 leads, not bad. But that really doesn't mean much, right? We want to know, well, did we book work off of it? We can drop this lead status in here, go down to Facebook, and figure out what happened with those 39 leads. So you can see, all right, estimate done and sent. It looks like we turned 16 of them into estimates. You can close these other ones to get rid of some noise. Even if you just wanted to look at Facebook, you can drop lead source into your filter, clear it, and just turn on Facebook, so that's the only one that you look at. Now you're just looking at that. Maybe you want to look at it based on percentages. You can see, okay, it looks like we convert 41% of the leads we get from Facebook. Changes back to numbers. Now we want to know, of those 16 estimates, what happened with those. Now you can just keep going in this leads tab. It has all the data, but to make it easier, we have the estimate tab, right? You just got to drop these in real quick. Go down to Facebook. And again, we can see 16 leads, 9 of which we booked. But really what matters is, well, how much revenue was that? So we can go to our jobs. We want to separate it by the lead source, and we want to know the amount of each one. And we can see for Facebook, we booked $50,000 off of those 9 jobs that we booked. You could do that here as well. Just want to drop amount under values there, and you can see this totals up to 50,000. And then you could do the math. You know, you could say, well, we spent, let's just do a random number. We spent $1,460. It was dollars on this marketing. And you can say, well, that amount divided by the total we booked, you can see, if you put that in percentage, that was only 3%. And then you can see, yeah, of the marketing budget we spent on this lead source, it only took up 3% of the revenue, and our marketing budget is maybe 5%. So this is a great lead source, and I should put more money into it if possible. But then you definitely want to continue to track this, because sometimes putting more money in it will change the results. it doesn't stay at that 3%. Now all of a sudden it's getting up to 5, 6, 7%, and you get those diminishing returns and want to figure out where is that sweet spot? Like, how much can you spend on it that makes sense? So we might want to filter this by month. Like this month was good, but I want to know next month if it's good. So you can just take one of these dates here. We'll use the close date, drop it under filters. We want to filter by condition and say in between. So we can put dates and want to know, like, well, of this 50,000, we started this new marketing campaign, or we started spending more. Let's just make up a date here on June 1st. So I'll say 6/1/21, and then I stopped doing that on 6/30. So we can say okay, and now you'll see, oh, we actually didn't book anything. I was just doing a live example here. That was maybe not the best values because we didn't book anything from Facebook there, but let's change this to 8. And this is, again, is sample data. Don't read into this and make any decisions based on this. But you can see from 6/1 to 8/30, there was no revenue from Facebook. And if you're trying to figure out when, rather than doing it this way, we can just drop our close date in here. You can right click on the date and let it know we want to separate this by, say, month. Then we can come down to Facebook and realize, oh, that was all booked in April and May. So then we could bring this back down into our filters. Maybe it was the middle of April when we started spending money on that back half of the month. We doubled the budget and we want to see how did that compare. Just making up hypothetical situations, and you can see, oh, during that time period, we booked about 10,000. So you can begin to see how powerful this is and how you can chop up and analyze your data in so many different ways. That's just marketing and how it can help you track your marketing and make business decisions based on that. But let's say that you are getting some coaching, or you're managing a sales guy, or just want to know how to improve your business. One of the easiest ways is just, if you had a higher lead conversion and a higher sales rate, then you would book more work. So you could look at, your lead status. You can see here is the answers that you get when you talk to leads and try to set them up with estimates. Maybe they said call next year. Maybe you called, but you just haven't got a hold of them. If this is a big number right here, then hey, I'm not making enough phone calls. We just drop lead status under value, so it gives us the values. There's only one. What is that percentage-wise? 0.5% I don't get a hold of, but I get a hold of everybody else. That's actually really good, at least with this fake sample data. The issue is not that not enough calls are being made. And it might just be for the services you offer and the marketing you do. This could be a good conversion rate, but you'd really want to figure out, like, the ones I'm not converting, is there anything alarming as to why? Estimate canceled, that's only at 3%, but if that gets really big, maybe it's because you're booking estimates that are 2 weeks out and people don't want to wait that long. They just cancel and sign up with someone else first. If scheduling conflict is a big reason why you're not converting leads, maybe it's because you need to hire more people because you're booked 2 months out, but most people want the interior at least done within a month. Again, this can help you analyze and realize, like, if I was doing a coaching call with you, I'd want to look at these numbers to try to figure out what's the best way I can help you. Same thing with estimates. Clear this stuff out real quick. We'd want to know, what is your booking rate? So drop in estimate stage. I prefer to look at it in terms of percentages. I can see, okay, we're booking 45%. It's a pretty good booking rate. And what is the biggest objection you have? Well, it looks like it's think about it and other estimates. So I need to help you work through, like, when you get think about it, is that a real objection? Maybe it's just as simple as, hey, great, I got another estimate today. Can I call you back afterwards and get an answer? And then they say, oh, well, actually, here's a different objection and why I can't sign up. And I want to get other estimates. And then it's like, well, separate yourself, customize your estimate, build a lot of value, and then they won't want to get other estimates. Whatever the case may be, if you're getting a lot of didn't have both decision makers, maybe it's just making sure when you set up the estimate that you ask, does anyone else own the home with you? I would really love to set up a time where both of you guys can be there so I can be really thorough, set good expectations, because my goal is to get reviews and referrals through high customer satisfaction. Maybe you have sales reps and you're trying to plan for your meetings. You can drop this in here and compare and see, okay, this person, they're booking all their work on a callback, nothing on the spot. I need to work on that. Why is that case? They could probably get their booking rate up by just asking for the job while they're there. They're probably not even giving them the estimate there. They're emailing it later. We can just look at, what their numbers are. Everybody's going to have different objections, but you're going to know how to help each individual personally. Some other ways we use this CRM is, every payroll, I figure out what each employee booked and where did those jobs come from, and any client referrals, we send a thank you letter to whoever referred us. So to figure that out, I'd put in sales rep. I want to know the amounts that they booked. And then I need to put in a payroll. I'm just going to make up 1/8/1/21 to 8/15/21. Just say that was the pay period. I can see what they booked for that pay period. And then, I wanted to know where did those come from. Okay, I can see here's the different ones. I can see there was a client referral, so I want to know the name of the person who referred us. Drop that in there. Just double click in between these spaces to open this up so I can see, that was Cher Smith. Let's make sure to write her a thank you letter. Let her know we appreciate the fact that she referred us. And I can see down here, one of the ones we booked was from door-to-door canvassing, and this was the marketer that generated that lead. So if we give bonuses for when we book jobs from our canvassing team, if that's a way you choose to market, if you are running canvassing teams, we used to pay like $5 a lead, $10 an estimate, $15 for a job. You can easily just figure that out here. We'll put lead source. We want to know the values, name of person who generated lead. We can see all the people that have referred us here. But let's go to door-to-door canvassing. Here's the different marketers we hired, and here's how many different leads they got us. We could filter it by date for the payroll or whatever it is, and then we want to know, we know how many leads they got us, but how many estimates did those turn into? Drop our lead status in here. You can close all these up to make it clean and easy, or let's just go ahead and filter all this by the lead source and say we only want to see door-to-door canvassing. This is much easier to look at. And now we can see what happened to all the leads that these people generated. We could email this to them, and then we're like, what happened to the estimates done and sent? What happened to those? How many did we actually book? We can drop in our estimate stage. All right, so now we've got all this closed up. We want to open up estimate done and sent. Boom, and now we can see for each marketer, okay, here's the marketer. They got a total of 24 leads. Here's what happened to each lead. Of the 12 that were estimate done and sent, it looks like we actually booked 7 of them. And here's what happened to the other 5. We can see 2, we're still waiting for an answer, so they could turn into jobs. 1 says estimate sent, so we actually haven't done the estimate yet, and only 2 of those 12 have actually said no. So if you're trying to work with your marketers and make them better at marketing, you can look at all this data or whatever it is. We used to run these to pay our marketers because we would pay them bonuses based on how many leads, how many estimates, and how many jobs we got. But you can see how quickly and easily it is to build these reports. I'll just do one more just to give you an example of what might happen. So I live in Colorado where we get a lot of snow in the winter and we can't do exterior painting, and we'll pay for different marketing services. And then one day I'm like, hey, I wonder some of the marketing we pay for, do some give more interior leads than exterior leads? And that's something that could be huge to know, but you're not going to be able to answer that question, at least not easily and quickly, unless you have a CRM. So we could easily just find that out here. I can say, okay, I want to know lead source by the value, and then I want to know the actual job type. And maybe if I bring lead source under columns, it'll be easier for me to analyze. Okay, so we got our different job types here, and then maybe it would be better if I saw this in terms of a percentage. Okay, and I can see that Angie's list here, it looks like about 80% are exterior and 20% are interior. So this lead source actually brings me mostly exterior leads. And then we go over here and see pretty much the opposite. I can see from this BBB source here that only 20% of the leads are exterior and 80% of the leads are interior. So what if in the winter, the marketing budget I spend on this lead source, I stop and I move that money and start spending it on this lead source? Well, I'm not going to be spending any more money, but theoretically, since I'm going to be getting a lot more interior than exterior leads during that time of year, this is going to be really beneficial to my business and could be a huge difference maker. These are just the little ways, little things that'll pop into your head. I can't tell you how many times I thought of something and then I go to my CRM and find out. I can't tell you how many times a sales guy has a false story in their head, like, oh, it's harder to book interior versus exterior. And then we just look at the numbers and it's like, look, you book just as many. The reason you think that is because you just don't do as many interior leads or whatever the case is. Maybe they think, oh, well, it depends on the time of the year. It's easier to book it at the beginning versus the end. You can look at that and realize, is that just a false story in your head, or is that actually true? And if it is true, what can we do to overcome that? Or, what should we focus on? We just get a lot more think about it at the beginning of the year because there's so much time, and at the end of the year, there's natural urgency. So maybe we just figure out a way to build urgency. Maybe we offer them a discount for letting us know quickly rather than taking 3 or 4 months. There's just so many opportunities that are only available if you have a tool like this to be able to analyze your data. That's why you hear crazy things like, oh, to these social media giants, your data is worth billions. And it's like, what? That doesn't sound right. Like, how is that possible? And then you see, even with a small painting company, when you start using your data and analyzing it, you get that aha moment and realize, wow, this actually is priceless.